Get down on your knees for a moment and open the cabinet under your kitchen sink and just look at what is standing in there. The blue bottle for the windows, the all-purpose spray with the trigger, the jug of fabric softener, the little bottle of rinse aid for the dishwasher, the lime and calcium remover for the shower, the descaling for the coffee maker, the drain freshener, the stainless steel polish, a whole crowded shelf of bottles, each one $4 or $5 or $6, each one made to do exactly one job, and each one you buy again and again and again, year after year, till you have spent more on colored water under that sink than you would ever guess to add up. Now here is a thing that ought to bother you, friend, and I say it gently. Your grandmother had none of that. Not one of those bottles. You could have opened the cabinet under her sink your whole childhood and never found a trigger spray in your life. What she had down there very often was one jug, one plain jug of white vinegar, and it cost about $2. And it quietly did the honest work of nearly every bottle you are looking at right now. And here is the part that will change how you shop for the rest of your life. Those dozen bottles under your sink are not a dozen different miracles. Most of them are the same cheap, simple thing, dressed up a dozen different ways, given a dozen different labels, and a dozen different colors, and a dozen different prices, and sold to you a dozen separate times. The store did not give you better cleaners than your grandmother had. It gave you more bottles, and the one $2 jug she kept does the true core of what most of that shelf does, for pennies a job. Not one part of this is hard. It costs about $2. There is a fair chance you have a jug of it in your pantry this very minute, and any man or woman watching can learn the whole of it in 10 minutes and empty half that cabinet by the weekend. I am Pastor Eli. I have kept a country parish and a country house for the better part of 40 years, and I learned this at my grandmother's sink, and later from an old caretaker named Amos, who kept a leather ledger of every such trick, and who used to say the Lord gave us a few plain things that do the work of 100 fancy ones, if only we remember them. Today I am going to count them down for you, 12 of them, from 12 down to 1, and by the time we reach the bottom you will look at that shelf of bottles and see it for what it is. Number 4 does the very job you pay a repairman good money to do to your machine. Number 2 does a thing you have been buying a special bottle for that costs 10 times what this costs. And number 1, the last one, is the one my grandmother swore by above all the others, the one almost nobody remembers now, and I will not touch it until the very end, so stay with me for it. But before I count a single one, I owe you a warning, 2 of them, because there are 2 things you must never do with vinegar, and the first one can put your whole family in the hospital. So hear these before anything else. Never ever mix vinegar with bleach. Not in a bucket, not in the toilet bowl, not a splash of one on top of the other, not ever, for any reason. Vinegar is an acid, and when an acid meets bleach, the 2 of them together give off chlorine gas, the very same poison gas they used in the trenches in the Great War. And it is invisible, and it comes up fast. Every year, thousands of good folks end up gasping and calling the poison center because they mixed the 2 by accident, thinking they were making a stronger cleaner, and instead they made a weapon in their own kitchen. So if you ever get a sharp green sting in your nose and your eyes water, you leave the room and you get to fresh air. One or the other, friend, the jug or the bleach, never both in the same breath. And the second warning, gentler, but it will cost you money. Never use vinegar on natural stone. Not on marble, not on granite, not on slate, not on a stone countertop or a stone floor or a stone tabletop. The acid eats tiny pits into the stone and takes the shine off it, dull and rough, and once it is done, you cannot undo it. Keep it off unsealed grout, too, and I will give you the full honest list of where it fails at the end, plain as always. But those 2, the bleach and the stone, I needed you to have before we start. 1 word before the count. The old ways I keep, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at PastorEliWhitfield.com. It is called Waste Nothing, and it is a manual and not a sermon, with a real price on every material and an honest word on every limit. I will not mention it again. If you want it, you know where it is. Now, 12 down to 1. Number 12, and we start easy. Vinegar replaces your fabric softener, that jug of perfumed stuff that runs you $5 or $6. You pour about half a cup of plain white vinegar into the rinse, where the softener would go, and it does three things at once. It softens the clothes by rinsing out the leftover detergent that was making them stiff. It cuts the static, and it does it gentler on the fabric and on old skin than the heavy perfumes do. And no, your clothes do not come out smelling like a pickle. The vinegar smell rinses clean away and is gone the moment they are dry. Softer towels, no static, for pennies. Number 11. Vinegar replaces your glass cleaner, the blue bottle. You mix equal parts white vinegar and water in a spray bottle, and you wipe your windows and your mirrors with it, and you buff them with a clean lint-free cloth or an old piece of newspaper, and they come up clear and streak-free and bright. That blue bottle is mostly water and a little of this same thing anyway. Make your own for a few cents a bottle and never buy it again. Number 10. Vinegar replaces the all-purpose spray, that trigger bottle for wiping down the kitchen. 1 part vinegar to 1 part water in a spray bottle. And that is your everyday cleaner for the counters, the stovetop, the outside of the fridge, the sealed tile, the sink. It cuts grease, and it cuts grime, and it leaves the surface clean. And here's your first small job for tonight. Mix that 1 spray bottle, half vinegar and half water, and set it under the sink where the store-bought one used to stand. Just remember what I told you, keep it off the stone. Number 9. Vinegar replaces the rinse aid in your dishwasher, that little bottle that promises spot-free glasses. A splash of white vinegar in the rinse aid slot, or a small cup of it set upright on the top rack before you run the load, and your glasses come out clear instead of cloudy because it cuts the hard water spots. Now here's my honest word on this one, and I always give it. Use it now and then rather than every single load. And take a glance at your machine's own booklet, because run every day for years, the acid can be hard on some rubber seals. Now and then, though, it is a fine and thrifty thing. Let me pause here just a moment, friend. If these old ways are worth something to you, subscribe and walk along with me. I put out one of these every week, and it costs you nothing. Now, let me stop you right here. Because we are turning a corner in this list. Everything so far has been the cleaning cupboard, the soft, easy jobs. What comes next, from here down to number 1, is the heavy work, the descaling, and the deep jobs. The ones you have been paying real money for in special bottles. This is the part the store would least like you to know you can do with a $2 jug. So stay close. Number 8. Vinegar replaces your oven and appliance cleaner for the microwave, and it does it with no scrubbing at all. You put a bowl of water with a good splash of vinegar inside the microwave, and you run it 2 or 3 minutes until it boils and steams up the whole inside. Then you leave the door shut another minute and let that hot vinegar steam sit and soak into the baked-on splatter. Open it, and the grime that was welded to the walls wipes away with 1 cloth soft as butter. The steam does the work, so your arm does not have to. Number 7. Vinegar replaces the coffee maker descaling, that $8 bottle. Inside your coffee maker and your kettle, hard water leaves a chalky scale that clogs it and shortens its life and makes your coffee taste flat. You run a mix of vinegar and water through the machine, or boil it in the kettle, and the acid dissolves that scale right off. Then, and this matters, you run 2 full pots of clean water through afterward to rinse every trace of the vinegar out. Your machine runs like new and lasts years longer if your maker's booklet happens to say, not to descale with vinegar, then follow your booklet. Otherwise, this is money straight back in your pocket. Number 6. Vinegar replaces the lime and calcium remover for your shower head, that harsh $6 bottle. And this one feels like a small miracle the first time. If your shower has gone weak and sprays crooked, it is choked with mineral crust. You fill a plastic bag with white vinegar. You tie it up over the shower head so the head sits soaking in the vinegar, and you leave it overnight. In the morning, you take the bag off and run the water, and the crust has dissolved, and the spray comes back full and straight like the day it was new. Pennies, and a plastic bag, and a night's patience. Number 5. Vinegar replaces the toilet bowl cleaner for the hard water ring. You pour a cup or 2 of white vinegar into the bowl, let it sit a good while, an hour or overnight, and that stubborn mineral ring that the brush would not touch wipes away. Now the honest word, because I will not overpromise. Vinegar cleans that bowl and cuts the ring and freshens it, but it is not a strong hospital-grade disinfectant the way bleach is. So if it is disinfecting you are after, know the difference. For the ring and the freshening, it is grand. And I will say it once more because it is that important. Do not you ever follow the vinegar with a splash of bleach to boost it. That is the very mix that makes the poison gas. Number 4. Vinegar replaces the sticky goo remover, that little $5 bottle for label glue. When you peel a price sticker or an old label off a jar or a window and it leaves that gummy mess behind, you wet a cloth with vinegar and lay it over the goo for a few minutes to soak, and then it wipes right off. Works on the gum from tape, from labels, from stickers, the grandchildren pressed onto the furniture. A cloth and a little vinegar, and the sticky is gone. Number 3. Vinegar replaces your laundry odor removers, and it does something that perfumed products only pretend to do. Over time, your towels go stiff, and your workout clothes and your work shirts hold a sour smell that no amount of washing seems to shift, and here is why. They are caked in built-up detergent and old softener that traps the odor and stiffens the cloth, so once in a while you run them through a hot wash with a cup of plain vinegar and no detergent at all, and it strips all that buildup right out. The towels come out soft and drinking water again, and the sour smell is gone at the root, not covered up. Your clean laundry was never quite clean. It was coated. This uncoats it. Number 2, vinegar replaces the weed spray for the cracks in your path. And here I am going to be more honest with you than the label ever is. On a hot, dry day, straight white vinegar poured on the little weeds coming up in the cracks of your walk, or your driveway will scorch the leaves and burn the young ones down within a day. It genuinely works on the small stuff. But hear the honest limit, because you may remember I made a whole video on killing weeds for good. Plain household vinegar burns the top. It does not reach down and kill the deep root of a big established weed. So the tough ones come back. For that, you want the salt and vinegar method from that other video. This here, the plain vinegar splash, is a knockback for the little ones in the cracks. A quick and cheap and poison-free way to keep the path clear. Use it for what it is, and you will be glad of it. And number 1, the one my grandmother swore by above every other, the one almost nobody remembers now, and it is the simplest of them all. Vinegar replaces your air fresheners, your sprays, and your plug-ins, and it does it in a way none of them can. When a room smells of last night's cooking, or of smoke, or of that shut-up musty damp, you set out a small bowl of plain white vinegar and you leave it overnight. And here is the difference that makes it the best of the whole list. A spray or a plug-in just throws a perfume over the top of the bad smell, so you are now smelling 2 smells instead of 1. The bowl of vinegar does not mask the smell. It actually drinks it right out of the air and neutralizes it. And by morning the bad smell is gone, truly gone, and the vinegar smell has faded off with it. And the room is simply clean. My grandmother kept a little saucer of it on the back of the stove for exactly this. And I never understood it as a boy, and now I would not be without it. But I owe you the honest edge on this one too, and it is the same lesson as the flies, if you saw that video. The bowl clears the smell that is hanging in the air. It will not fix a smell that has a source. A thing gone bad somewhere, a forgotten something rotting under a seat or behind a cupboard. So if the smell keeps coming back after the bowl clears it, that is the air telling you to go find the source. The bowl clears the air. You clear the cause. Do both and the room stays sweet. Now, before we finish, I promised you the full, honest list of where vinegar fails, because a friend tells you the limits, not just the wonders. So here it is, plain. Never with bleach, ever. That is the poison gas, and it is the one that can truly hurt you. Never on marble or granite or slate or any natural stone. It pits it and dulls it for good. Not on unsealed grout, for it wears it away. Do not make a habit of it on a hardwood floor's finish, and keep it off your good cast iron, because it strips away that black seasoning we worked so hard to build. If you saw the video on keeping your tools and pans, not on your phone screen or your television screen, and not left to soak on a fine knife or a pearl. Know those handful of limits, and vinegar is a friend to you for life. Ignore them, and it can cost you a countertop, or a good deal worse. That is the whole honest truth of it. Now let me take a moment, because here is where it all comes together. Look at what one $2 jug just did. It softened your laundry and cleaned your glass and wiped your counters and spotted your dishes. It steamed out your microwave, descaled your coffee maker, opened up your shower head, and cut the ring from your toilet bowl. It lifted the sticker goo, stripped the buildup from your stiff towels, knocked back the weeds in your path, and cleared the very smell out of a musty room. A dozen jobs, a dozen bottles you will not buy again, from one plain jug that costs about $2 and sits in your pantry. $2, one jug, and a shelf of bottles you can finally stop replacing. And now the small honest word on why they taught you to fill that cabinet in the first place, and I do not say it to make you angry. There is no money in one jug that does 12 jobs. There is a great deal of money in 12 bottles that each do one, 12 labels and 12 colors and 12 prices, most of them mostly water. So the plain jug your grandmother kept got quietly pushed to the back of the store, and a shelf of single job bottles got put out front where you would reach for them, and a whole generation forgot that one cheap old thing ever did all of it. You were not sold better cleaners. You were sold more bottles, and taught to forget the jug. Scripture puts it plainer than I can. Godliness with contentment, it says, is great gain, great gain. And there is a quiet contentment in this that the world does not want you to have. The contentment of a person who knows that the simple old thing does the work, and who does not need the shelf of shiny bottles the advertisement says they cannot live without. That is not doing without, friend. That is freedom. It is the freedom of a soul that is not forever chasing the next thing it was told to want, that can look at a $2 jug and a job well done and be truly satisfied. The old folks had that contentment, and it was a great gain to them, in their pocket and in their peace. And it is there for you too, under your own sink. So here is what I want you to do this week. Buy one $2 jug of plain white vinegar. Mix one spray bottle, half vinegar and half water, and set it under the sink. Then the next time one of those single job bottles runs empty, do not replace it. Reach for the jug instead. And this weekend, descale your coffee maker and tie a bag of vinegar over your shower head overnight, just to see it work with your own eyes. That is all it takes to start emptying that shelf. Now tell me in the comments below, which bottle under your sink are you going to throw out first? And did your mother or your grandmother have a vinegar trick I did not name here, some job she swore that jug could do that nobody writes down anymore? Tell me what it was, and tell me your state, for the hard water and the damp that make half these jobs necessary come worse in some corners of this country than others. And I like to map the old ways by where you all write from. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been talking of the $2 things in the pantry that quietly do the work of a whole shelf, I'm going to show you the other half of that old pair, the plain box of baking soda, and the dozen jobs it does hand in hand with the vinegar that you have been buying a cupboard of separate products to do. The jug and the box together were the whole cleaning cabinet once, and they can be again. It is the natural next step after today, and I hope you will walk it with me. Until then, look well to what you have been given. Waste nothing, and God bless.